and welcome back to Love Your Food. This week we have an add-on to last week's mashed potatoes recipe. We're making potato croquettes. Now this is basically just a little deep fried, or do we shallow fry them, dumpling of mashed potato mixed with a few other ingredients, and they are really, really delicious. So let's get going. We're going to start with our ingredients. So we're starting off, obviously, with last week's mashed potatoes. We're going to add a little bit of flour. We have a couple of eggs as well. Some Parmesan cheese. We're going to use some green onion and some breadcrumbs. So it's not a very complicated recipe. We're going to start with our mashed potatoes. And again, if you like to leave the skins out, that's fine. We like that because it has a little extra flavor and just we think it turns out a little bit better. It's really up to you entirely for the mashed potatoes. So to that, we're going to add an egg yolk and the flour. And then we're going to get our other ingredients ready. So we're going to add a little bit of green onion. We're just going to chop that up pretty finely. We just want that to be a nice flavor inside the croquettes. Just adds a little bit of bite to it, a little bit of flavor. But we don't want any large pieces, so we're just going to chop that up really nice and small. That's going to go into our bowl with everything else. And then we're going to add our Parmesan cheese. So we definitely want to get a fair amount of this. Now Parmesan cheese, when you use it on the microplane grater like this, does get very, very fluffy. So we're just going to add a whole bunch of this. So there's our mound of Parmesan cheese. Now this will reduce rather a lot when we start mixing it in because right now it's full of air, but it does compress quite a lot once it gets mixed into the whole mixture. It looks like a lot. Honestly, it's not that much. So there we go. We're just going to mix that all together and make sure everything's well combined. You can see already the Parmesan is reducing rather a lot. It's compressing. So here's everything mixed together. So we've got our green onions. We've got the flour. You want to make sure that the flour is well combined as well. You don't want little bits of it clumped together. So try to make sure there's no lumps of flour or anything. And then we're just going to take some pretty even slices of this, pretty even wads of our mashed potato our mashed potato mixture, and we're just going to make little discs out of them. It's a pretty easy shape to handle. It's pretty easy to get it to cook evenly, so we're just going to use this shape for our croquettes. We're just going to put those into a parchment-lined, actually this is wax paper lined container, because we do want these to set up a little bit. We do want them to get a little bit firm, so we're just going to let those chill in the fridge. We're going to put those into this container and let them chill in the fridge for a while. When we're just about ready to get everything going, we're going to get our oil nice and hot on the stove, and we're going to make a little egg wash here. This is just one egg cracked into the bowl. If you want to add the white that we had from earlier, you can, but really we only need the one for the amount that we're making. And very gently, because these are very tender, we are going to give our croquettes a little bit of an egg wash. And then these are going to go right into the breadcrumbs. So once they've had a good coating, those are going to go into the breadcrumbs. Now we're just going to do two at a time. But once they're well coated, once they've got the breadcrumbs on there, you really don't want them to sit around for very long. So the oil should already be hot if you're at this stage of mixing, of putting the breadcrumbs on the outside of your croquettes. So just make sure they have a good coating on all sides of the breadcrumbs. And then you want to take them right over to your hot oil. And we're just going to gently place those in there. Remember, they are very soft. They're quite delicate at this point. So we do want to handle them very, very gently. They're very tender. They're quite soft. And we're just going to pop those into that nice hot oil and let them fry. Now really you can turn them over at whatever point you like, whatever you like as far as doneness. These are a little dark. We like things quite toasty. These turned out quite dark. If you don't want them quite so dark, feel free to turn them over. You can keep an eye on them with a good spatula. And we're going to add the next two now that we've got the first two flipped over. And this way you can sort of do them in rotation, 4 at a time. Once you have all those out of there, while they're still warm is a great time to give them a little bit of seasoning. So we're just going to give them a little sprinkle of salt. You can see those really dark ones that we did first. Really, you just want to make sure that they're cooked all the way through. You don't want any raw flour or anything. Just a little sprinkle of salt is all you need on the outside. They are seasoned inside. They have all that Parmesan cheese, which is quite salty. And just a little sprinkle of fresh cracked black pepper as well. And then while they're still hot is the perfect time to eat them. They are really nice and crispy on the outside and very fluffy on the inside. You can see here they're very delicate still, but they turned out absolutely delicious. Really nice and fluffy on the inside. Those green onions really make them pop. We served these with a really nice, just spicy mayo. We used our hot pepper relish in some mayonnaise, and it was excellent. Just came out really, really well. Whatever you like to dip them in is all up to you. So if you like this recipe, please do like and subscribe. And if you have any recipes you'd like to see Chef Caleb try on the channel, please let us know in the comments below. And remember to love your food.